Welcome back to the ADC Spring Season Playoffs. As we can see, Rogue backstage just about to take their seats and get ready for game number 3. They have side selection. They've elected blue side once again. And Ender, I actually don't care about anything other than Larssen versus Carzzy. That is the only thing I want to talk about. Their champions are the only thing I want to focus on because it has been fantastic. No, you can't argue.
I mean, like, yes, look, every game it feels like, especially in the fights has come down, Larssen versus Carzzy, it's huge. I'm totally with you that which player can,
You're going to give me a but, I can tell.
But there's so much else in the Mad Lions machine, in the Rogue machine, like especially in the last game, Elyoya's influence around bot lane. I mean, Kaiser's hooks as well, just making the lane so explosive, then moving that pressure into mid too. Like, they found ways to lift up Carzzy and give him the time to shine.
Okay, fine. I'll give you that. Then
but also,
I will
he smurfs
ask,
the fights. Like,
where are we going to be looking for draft? We're about to get some hype music to set us up. Do you think anything changes?
I think we may drift away from the Senna Cho lane. I think that bot lane, like that bot lane we saw like kills go both directions because it's the same match we've seen both times. So explosive down that direction, but I feel like it favors the Jinx and Thresh, the all-in threat, especially with an aggressive early game jungle coming down there. They look to go hard, so if anything's gonna change, I think for Rogue, it's going to be that bot lane. Let's go into draft for game 3.
Welcome back to the draft. If you have missed the first 2 games, we've seen the same phase 1 bans from Rogue. Tristana, Lucian, and Twisted Fate, followed by Hecarim, Gnar, and then either Kalista or Jace. Gnar has been moved up in priority. We're still expecting the Hecarim to be very important.
Oh, there we
up
go.
The ban list. And I'd asked you, will Thresh be something that's concerned? It's actually the Jinx that's banned away by Rogue.
Yeah, because I mean, I think personally Rogue are more concerned about the Jinx and the option she gives Mad Lions in terms of the team fight phase. Obviously, your laning has looked pretty good up against the Senna in the 2v2, and immediately you say, well, if Jinx is gone, Mad Lions do not want to deal with the Senna. So that means we are probably dropping a Lucian ban from Rogue, because I think that Larssen can be fine with the Azir into Lucian matchup. Ooh. Instead, they will leave the Twisted Fate open. Now, I think Twisted Fate is really sick at the current time, and especially for Mad Lions, if they're trying to play a very aggressive game around numbers advantage, Twisted Fate can be a champion that blows up timings for Rogue.
And the thing is, Humanoid's played 7 Twisted Fate games all time in his career, 2 of which have happened this spring. 1 win and 1 loss. And this time around, the draft is heavily different. Hecarim is open. Lilia is open as well. Is something that's found itself in the ban pool in phase 2. As Inspired want to lock that in. Remember, Hecarim was a talking point for us. Not been played at all. And it's the first time we're seeing Hecarim do it. Inspired play that champion this year.
Yeah, obviously hasn't played it this year, but still something that's been picking up so much steam. Played it a lot in 2020 as well. So the Hecarim gets locked. And now I would expect to see an earlier jungle pick for Mad Lions. If they're going to pick Orianna here, maybe they go for a Lilia and then can answer with a support or ADC on 3 here. Still a lot of options. We saw them go Orianna plus Jinx as their very common pairing. And there are certainly other power combinations to run in the bot lane. But it will be a jungle, like I was saying there. Not the Lilia that Elyoya loved throughout the season, but still this Volibear. Elyoya is playing to get early kills, early aggression today.
The thing is, and it worked so well in game 2. We saw how it was executed. I think Falco was talking about how it comboed with the Thresh particularly well. And Elyoya spent a lot of time spending ganks and time in that bottom lane, getting Carzzy ahead, and it was Carzzy's Jinx that then popped off. We will see the Azir for Larssen once again, and Sion this time round for Odoamne.
Yeah, so this spells very big changes for Rogue. Obviously, they can't go the Senna Cho'Gath, but they are holding on to their bot lane for the second phase of draft. They're taking, you know, a blind Sion that's going to perform well in pretty much any matchup you throw him to. He's always going to do his job. You know you can rely on Odoamne to give you that. Larssen gets his Azir, which has looked very good all series long. Last game, a step down from game 1, but still certainly a threat for the Mad Lions. And this means that Rogue can guarantee a strong winning 2v2. Now, they can't guarantee counterpick on both roles because Mad Lions are doing the exact same thing, but it is an arms race in the bot lane for the winning 2v2 because both games, it's been 2v2 kills back and forth.
It really has. It's been a very volatile lane, is I think the way that I'd like to try to brand it, Ender. It's gone back and forth. We've seen Hansama and Trymbi get the advantage, and similar with Carzzy and Kaiser. And while we wait for the bans to come in, just a little bit of tidbits for you. Armut's Aatrox is terrifying. He's played that champion 15 times professionally with an 86% win ratio. He's played that twice this spring and won both of those respective games. And now we're looking at this bottom lane bans with Tristana and Jinx removed from the pool, the Caitlyn, the Senna as well. Rel has been banned out, which I think might remove the Rel plus Kaiser combination. Kalista will be removed from Hansama as well. That will be comboed with the Caitlyn. So we're going to start digging down the AD carry pool. I think Ashe, Kaiser, Xayah are coming to mind right now.
Yeah, I was thinking more in the Xayah category because Hansama played so much Kaiser throughout the season. I'm honestly a little surprised to see them banning the Rel here, but I think for Mad Lions, like coming out of this, they have first pick. They could go for the Rel, which would be the highest priority support. Alistar also up on that list. So they do ban the Xayah, and what this means is you can still get something like an Alistar plus Kaiser. We know very powerful, very potent 2v2, and I feel like if I'm Mad Lions, I'm trying to remove and steal away at least one of those options.
Oh, what will it be? That is the question. And can Draven run into it? Because that is something that Hansama has played before. Now, whether you want to run that into Orianna plus Aatrox plus Volibear is a very difficult question to answer, and they will hold the AD pick. It's the Alistar lock-in.
Yeah, they're considering both the options I gave them. Good choice there from the Mad Lions. Now, I still expect Hansama to go for this Kai'Sa. It's been such a solid pick through him throughout the split, and it also can function pretty well into a lot of the champions Mad Lions have. I feel like they've got the long range already and the heavy dive too, so Kai'Sa can unlock what we've seen being so insane throughout the playoffs so far. Hansama will decide to lock that in the end, and now we've got to go down the support tier list. Like, what is it going to be next to it? Because, like, you have options like a Gragas, perhaps, would be the crazier one, a Mickey X special going into that Alistar. Rare that you see a Enchanter support paired with a Kai'Sa, but Trymbi has played the Seraphine before.
He has indeed, and will it be swapped away in the last second? It feels like it just might be. Running through the options, and this is telling you it has a huge impact on how the game is going to be played out. And it makes me a little nervous here, not being 100% certain what they will lock in. After running through a number of options, it will be the Rakan.
Yeah, and I mean, looking around, this is a pretty favorable game for Rakan. I feel like apart from the Alistar, there's not a lot of immediate, like, super reliable CC you have to deal with. So Trymbi can be very nimble around these fights, maybe not even operating as a primary initiator, but following up behind a Sion, behind a Hecarim, and of course is going to pair nicely with the Kai'Sa. Now we get the Vayne for Carzzy. So bot lane still very explosive. Rogue, they don't care about Odo in top lane. Forget about him. Larssen, you know he's going to be winning mid lane in the 1v1. The question is, how does the 2v2 play out? Because which team wins that determines which support gets to walk to mid, which determines whether or not Mad Lions can shut down Larssen.
I know you told me not to do this, but I'm going to. Shut down Larssen on his famous Azir. Carzzy never played Jinx before today and has played it twice. Carzzy never played Vayne before today and has locked it in. And I'm really enjoying how different the drafts are today versus what we see in the last 2 days.
Mad Lions are showing absolutely no fear in the face of Larssen's signature Azir. And again, it will come down to them setting up Carzzy in the bot lane, opening up roams for Kaiser if they want to shut it down. So this bot lane, I feel like I've been hyping it up. It's junglers' involvement around bot lane. Does the 2v2 stay as crazy as it's been? Is it still 2v2 kills? These are the questions we have to ask ourselves.
Now, young man, Mr. Larssen, would it not be fair to say that ultimately this game could come down to Larssen or Carzzy?
Okay, Trevor, okay, you got me.
However, I will concede that until we get to that point, we need to see exactly what
game. It's a 5v5.
I also am very interested to see what Inspired can do trying to jump onto Carzzy. Now, we do have a very small issue in Champion Select, and the draft will once again be remade with the same picks and bans. While we wait for that, let's send it over to Law and Mad Lions coach.
Thank you, Trevor. It's all right. I have a lot of questions to ask actually about the draft because we see there's been a shift in the pick priority. So can we talk me through the first picks rotation and how did you adapt to Rogue?
I don't think our pick priority was particularly different. I think that the emphasis was kind of on them to change up their draft because the Jinx had been doing so well into them. So banning Jinx out is kind of a natural answer from them. And then we just adapted from there and looked to counterpick everything that we possibly could.
And in that sense, we saw the Volibear, the casters were mentioning, we expect a lot of early action in that sense. Talk me through the early game maybe and how the teams make sure that Elyoya stays ahead and can do his job.
Sorry, what was that last part?
How do you guys make sure that Elyoya can do his job?
I think in this game, it shouldn't be too hard because I think we have a lot of good prio picks. Obviously, Azir is good into Orianna, but he generally doesn't want to move with his prio. This series so far, they've attacked Elyoya a lot in his jungle. Like, they're trying to invade him non-stop. But he's showing up really, really incredibly well at just being super decisive about going and killing people, right? Which is amazing. That's very much the Mad Lion style. So I think that's kind of the dynamic at the moment.
Yeah, I was about to say, during the interview we had before the games, we talked about Elyoya, the influence he had in the early game. What did you think about what Rogue threw at you for the first 2 games and how he adapted in that sense?
I mean, for the first 2 games, I think it was kind of a case of both teams getting exactly what they had prepared. You know, both teams got exactly what they wanted, and it was just a case of figuring out which one was better against the other one. But it looks like the Jinx kind of prevailed in that sense.
Last question for you, game plan here, early game, where do we look at?
I think it should probably be mostly around top lane in terms of our early action, like top jungle, because we should have a matchup that should be winning in Aatrox versus Sion. And then I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of TP spot again.
TP spot again. Let's see. Trevor, back to you.
Thank you so much, Lord. Thank you so much, Mac. I really appreciate as well the candid response and talking about how Rogue are really focusing Elyoya. We talked about that extensively in game. I think in game number 1, the amount of control and information that Rogue were able to garner and then demonstrate prevented Elyoya from playing the game.
True.
In game number 2, some pivots to the draft, some pivots to the keystones, and all of a sudden Elyoya is literally ripping people's faces off. And I now need to see that happen again, especially when you consider how scary it can be if a Hecarim and a Kaiser are able to jump onto your backline in an uneven sense.
Yeah, and of course, him talking about Elyoya pathing on top lane early. You know, Odo's on the Sion can be hard to punish, but if you can force a TP, open that up. You heard him talk about TPs into bot lane. It can get crazy, and that's where we start to see it begin to unravel for either of these 2 teams, because so far, it's kind of been like the craziness of bot lane that's opened up a lot of the early aggression.
The volatility and the back and forth, and it's great that we've seen both duos really, having standout moments. Completely different 2v2 this time. Instead of the Senna, Cho, Jinx, Thresh, it's going to be Kaiser versus Vayne. Let's jump into Rogue versus Mad. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be back on Summoners Rift for game number 3. 1-1 in the series with at least 2 more games ahead of ourselves.
Sorry, were you thanking the announcer?
I was indeed.
Okay.
Announcer never gets enough, call-out, shout-outs. Here for every single game.
Fair.
Been supporting for such a long time. And I think
always positive.
One of the things I'm really enjoying about these games today so far, I think there's been a few moments that you can criticize, but I think overall, pretty clean, pretty exciting games in contrast to our 2 previous series in round 1. And something I hope fans appreciate is coming into the week, so many people like, oh, it's going to be boring. GT's going to stop him. It's going to be 3-0s. And it's just been such a fun weekend of games to watch. And we still got a lot more to go through.
Yeah, and watching, the minor adaptations as we move along. Obviously, this draft going to bring a whole lot more changes than we saw in the first 2 games, but from the early pathing, the early priorities. Even this game, Elyoya still in the Volibear, but switching up his rune choice. He's back on the press, the attack for stronger early fighting, as opposed to having that big move speed boost to make sure that those early ganks definitely pay off for the squad. So he is going to be starting bot side, and this keys in exactly to what we were hearing from Mad Lion's coach before this game got underway. away is Elyoya playing towards top lane very early on. Now, I do think this will change up once Odoamne gets some levels in his system, and that's where the bot lane focus is going to come in. Things to keep eyes on, teleports, etc., etc. But as far as early priority, Madline's going to be looking strong on the top side of the map, whereas that early trade looked excellent for Rogue.
Yeah, level 1 engage there from Trymbi. A lot of damage onto Carzzy. He's already starting to burn through those consumables. And I'll be keeping my eyes on Trymbi. His Cho'Gath pick had fantastic performance in game number 1. Game number 2 didn't really get the ability to breathe or have the influence he was hoping for. And Ender, you talked a little bit about how Rakan can be very favorable during the course of this game. Once again, finding the knockup. Hansama steps forward.
Oh,
is ticking.
no.
And that was just easy.
Every single game, it's been 2v2 kills.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on. It's a bit of madness here as Elyoya runs towards mid. I don't think he's going to be able to catch up. A good response flash there from Larssen. Of course, the E hits, the slow, then maybe he's in range for a quick stun. Coming out of the flash is Elyoya, but bot lane again, volatile.
It really is, and a big one for me. Larssen losing his flash at 2.5 minutes. In the 2 previous games, Humanoid lost his mid tower way before Larssen did. That is going to force Larssen to play a little bit more respectfully, a little bit more patiently, and maybe give some breathing room to Humanoid.
But Trevor, I don't know if it actually does, because if you look at like who's coming mid, is it Elyoya? Well, if Elyoya doesn't have flash or Humanoid doesn't have ultimate something to set up Larssen, not having the flash doesn't really matter. As I don't know if Kaiser wanted that. Kaiser thought that Hansama had reset, but now Trymbi's going in.
Kaiser's still got his flash available. Ignite is ticking down. Trymbi runs away. They end up just trading, and Kaiser holds onto his flash.
Now again, because Elyoya is pathing topside, Inspired is around the bot lane. So all he has to do is, after the Scuttle Crab, be here, make sure that Carzzy or Kaiser do not jump onto Rogue. Now all the bot laners still have their flashes, which is a rarity after a first blood in the 2v2, but this split map does allow Hansama to continue to pressure on this bottom side. But to go back to my point around mid lane, it's like Larssen is playing a very nimble champion, can get out of dodge, so you need the support, the Alistar with a flash combination to come mid. That's how you get a kill on the Azir. But because Madlines are already losing the 2v2 and they're getting pressured and the enemy jungler is down here as well, will he actually be able to leave? I'm not so sure.
Doesn't feel that way. I mean, Mac was talking about TPs to the bottom lane. We haven't even got to that point in the game, and because of the amount of aggression from Hansama and Trymbi, they've traded a lot of damage back and forth.
And honestly, this is why I don't really love the decision to play topside in the early game. You know, Odoamne, sure, he's falling behind on CS. Armut's going to be pushing against him. But at the end of the day, bot lane has been so crucial in this series. Even after the champion changes, the duo pairing changes, well, it's still, you know, a very explosive 2v2 action. Kaiser versus the Vayne, and now Inspired is running back towards top.
Well, he's ghosting in. See if we can get that devastating charge to knock Armut backwards. Will not be able to. A little spin from the Q, and Armut backs away. He did lose the flash, though, so that is important if Inspired wants to fish for something further. But it'll be a little while before that can happen.
Yeah, and that may come into play if we ever see these top laners TP back to bot side. Again, if you're sort of looking at it and the combinations early on, like neither of these top laners really want to waste their TPs to come back to top lane. You'd love to get involved bot side, but at the same time you're looking, everyone has flash, so the top laner's like, do I really get a kill? And we may just end up seeing Armut TP back into top side. You see the wave is pushing back towards Odoamne, so Armut almost needs to use this TP or he loses all of these minions. He cannot make that trade go down. So with Lucidity Boots, does get a bit of that TP cooldown refunded, and shouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah, so small window of opportunity if Odo wants to use his ulti to either impact a lane or something. We've seen several times on those Sions. Back once you get 6 and push into the bottom lane. Small CS advantage for Armut. I think it'll be evened out once Odo picks this up. +7 in the mid lane, +10 in the bottom lane.
Now, I actually think this Lucidity Boot purchase is really interesting on the Aatrox, specifically in this matchup, because obviously you see junglers taking it all the time. Now even supports. Really good attempt there from Larssen.
Shockwave comes back. Inspired is in range to help out, but Larssen, I apologize, Ender, you were right, does not care about his flash at all.
Yep, it doesn't matter, but his flash will be coming up sooner than Humanoid's, and he has his ultimate, so that's the repeat gank with a Hecarim ulti. Those timers are going to look great. But to continue on the Lucidity Boots, this is a pretty calm matchup for the Aatrox. So he doesn't need, you know, the Tabbies or the Merc Treads in other specific matchups you'd have to go for. You get that, you know, spell cooldown reduction. Aatrox loves that CDR. Now maybe we're trying to spam out TPs a little bit faster, work off of better timings for Madlines that could end up being meaningful later on into the game.
Well, we'll see if it does. For the time being, still very even. Just very quickly want to highlight how important Carzzy's Jinx was in the 2 previous games. 41% damage damage percentage rather, 50% kill participation, 719 damage per minute. Now the reason I want to bring that up, with the pivot, the Jinx being banned away, and that last pick Vayne, it is going to be very, very important for Carzzy to once again deliver. And he's already given up first blood thanks to a great level 1 and 2 engage from Trymbi.
Flash don't matter.
Flash do not matter. Elyoya showing his face. Armut, however, having no flash may actually matter. It's knocked back by the devastating charge. The World Ender will not give enough healing, and that was once again a textbook kill, punishing the flashless Aatrox.
Yeah, beautiful stuff there from Inspired, and his ultimate is back up. So there's a lot of control wards in the topside jungle that I think he actually dodged all out from. He pathed through the lane, so wasn't seen on any of those. Now is seen going back into his jungle, and those are going to be great for gaining information, but not good enough to keep him alive. Now, Elyoya's around bot side is level 6. This could cost Rogue a lot here if they get denied these waves.
Look at the minion waves. That's at least 1.5, as well as that canyon. Hansama and Trymbi trying to step forward. They don't want to lose everything. The first place is already dropped.
Yeah, but because it's a cannon wave, they're not actually going to lose a lot of minions. Elyoya has to spend a lot of time if he wants to commit to the dive. Here we go.
He does indeed. The Stormbringer is going to bring Elyoya to the fight. The first focus is going to be Hansama. Turn their attention to Trymbi. He stays alive relatively long and very minimal damage, obviously, because the tower's taken out.
Oh, man. I mean, Trymbi's going to fall, too. They're just waiting for the cycling of summoner spells. Now they pull it back. They're a little bit worried. Inspired is in the area, and he's level 6. Does he want to go in level 7?
We're going to find out. There's no damage to follow it up. Larssen's got no teleport, nor does Odoamne. So Mad Lions, they will tower dive in the bottom lane, pick up a kill, and crucially, it's picked up by Carzzy.
Yeah, so it's a mistake, but I see the idea from Rogue. Like, obviously, there's a ward in River, so they would have seen Elyoya had he left, and Rogue are thinking, well, maybe we can punish your Inspired. Is not going to be able to stop the blue buff, but this is, again, the second blue invade he almost is always going for, this time trying to catch out Elyoya. Humanoid might be too far away, but Larssen has ulti, has flash. It's all about the timing play right there. It does not come through, though, for Rogue.
No flash, no ultimate, as you mentioned, for Elyoya. Trymbi's going to take this blast going to safety in just a moment. He gets caught out, he gets stunned up, he gets knocked up, manages to jump over the wall, and Carzzy condemns him to the fountain. Shockwave will not find a target, as Inspired was able to get out of dodge, but Mad Lion, second kill, second one to Carzzy.
Tragic timing there, Trymbi as well. He's like, I can get over the wall, I can get out. Well, welcome. There is a Vayne staring you down, condemns him against the wall, and really, I just love the way that Mad Lions have played this, even from the bot lane dive. I have to hold my thought for a moment. From the bot lane dive, like using the chain CC, the condemn into the wall, all of this just so good.
Larssen still got that ultimate, remember. Hansama not going to find the W. I want to keep my eyes on the minimap because there's this tiny tingling thought in my mind that was like, hey, blue buff's coming up. Maybe Mad Lions were opportunistically nearby, or maybe they anticipated Inspired on clockwork invading the blue. So I want to keep tracking it because, Ender, you rightfully called it out as a trend that Inspired likes to contest and to challenge it. Maybe it's because Larssen demands all the blue buffs, you know, so he has to take the opponents to get his hands on one himself. But this is the closest early game we've had thus far. 10 minutes in, bang on even for kills, bang on even for gold.
Right now, Rogue have great vision in the bot side jungle, so if the hostility continues around this lane, they do have information to be prepared for any sort of play. Right now, Elyoya is towards the top side of the map. Things have slowed down for this brief moment in the game, but we wait for things like Inspired's ultimate to be back. Now Humanoid has flash, so mid lane, not quite as explosive. And Elyoya, did he actually get around that vision? That's kind of wild there. He's able to go for this, and again, looking back to the wards that Mad Lions have in the topside jungle, they know Inspired shouldn't really be able to walk into the river without being seen first. This is a good timer for Elyoya, but a better timer for bot lane gank.
The quickness goes in, double charm comes out. And Inspired's got the ultimate available, may not even need it. Does use it in the end to secure the kill there on to Carzzy.
But the timing's just perfect there, because that was the condemn animation. I don't know if you caught on Vayne, so he just says, I'm unstoppable. Easy does it and gets that kill. So very nicely done there from Rogue. Inspired continuing to find really good gank timers.
It's one of those things where it's like, ultimately, it felt like Carzzy was going down. I think Kaiser was able to escape with his life, but now Summoner Spell used. So no heal for Carzzy, sitting on their flash. And again, it's just coming down to how important Carzzy is to Mad Lions. Rogue have made it very clear who they're trying to shut down.
And so many teams there would say, okay, we got the bot kill, let's do Dragon. Inspired, though, knows his top laner is about to be dove, so he passed all the way back towards top side. Again, Trymbi's very forward in this bush. It's a nice setup. Pops the quickness into the knockup. Very nicely done. One more time, though, we're ganking into the top lane.
Yeah, we absolutely are. Decimating Stash won't get the knockup, and that was the condemn you were talking about. Preventing Inspired getting locked against the wall. So we're in this very interesting game state. Inspired's picked up 2 of his team's 3 kills, Trymbi with the other. Carzzy's picked up 2 on the other side. And something that is a little bit different is the amount of pressure on the towers and the plates has been slower because of how these comps are playing out. And for Mad Lions, they're going to be feeling pretty good for the time being. They're Vayne, head on CS. He's got himself the few kills. I think Humanoid in the mid lane doing significantly better this time around into the Azir matchup. And this bottom lane tower is again under pressure.
I've seen this before. That Herald can do so much damage onto the tower. This time, though, you see Larssen moving down from mid lane towards that bot area. Good trade there by Kaiser. Oh, man, you can see the chain
Tower's
CC.
fallen. That's Carzzy running forward with the final hour. Hunt Summer's taking so much damage in reply. Quickness comes back. Here comes Inspired. Trymbi's already down, but Elyoya's in place to help out the Vayne. Hunt Summer forced to dash away with the Carzzy's going low. Inspired can't find the kill yet, but Odo has completed the TP. No ultimate
Larssen
available.
over the wall. Larssen is moving down towards this bot lane, but he calls off the play. He wants to go back to farm.
The shockwave whiffed. I didn't quite see if anyone flashed away from it, but did not find its target. Maybe Odo flashed.
Yeah.
The tower fell. Mad Lions, they extend their leads.
Oh, man. Okay, Mad Lions continue to punish, and it's Elyoya pathing around this bot side that gets it done for the tower. You can see jumping over that wall with the Volibear, it always sets up so that when you see seeing someone, they're right next to the wall for the Vayne. This time that wasn't even necessary because it was Trymbi almost jumping in on towards Kaiser, who again just gets set up straight against the wall. Very rough stuff there for the Rogue bot lane after they started off the game with a 2v2 kill. So again, bot lane is everything in this series, and it continues to be. Junglers going top lane, sure, that's nice, get some plates, get whatever, but at the end of the day, it is about these 2v2 interactions, which Mad Lions win yet again. Then Rogue are trying to play cleanup. Inspired does a lot of damage, and they're the first ones on the TP, but then you instantly see the double TP, and Larssen does not feel confident running into 5 players in the Mad Lions strong.
Yeah, there was the shockwave that Odo did correctly flash away from. He's focusing on whether or not Inspired can make anything happen there, and it's still very, very close. We're hitting the 18-minute mark, and Carzzy has now made his way to the top lane with Kaiser. Will be matched in the 2v2, but Inspired once again spending all of his time with Hunt Summer and Trymbi.
But we have lost the signature Rogue control. The control we saw all throughout the regular season, the control we saw in Game 1. Let's see the dive.
Flashes are available for both bot laners on Mad Lions. That's a tumble and dash away. Carzzy is going to get popped, and it's Inspired that gets the kill. Elyoya's now arrived into the fight. It's a 2v3. Inspired will not be able to escape just yet. Larssen's got the scoop available. Do they fancy another dive? Humanoid's not moved yet.
No, I mean, Larssen continues to try and make these roam plays, but is never actually biting. You know, you heard Dylan Falco on the desk saying, you know, Larssen on this. Azir gets prio in this matchup, but he never wants to move. He wants to play for the turret plates, and that was very true in games 1 and 2. This game, he's been trying to move a lot, but never fully committing into that play, wanting to go back, playing things a little bit more cautiously, and has cost Rogue a little bit. You know, they haven't made the same headway on that mid lane turret as they had in previous games. They also haven't been convincingly winning the side lane.
And who does this favor? Because it has felt to me like the last few kills that have been picked up have been really one-sided, right? The team that has initiated the play has picked up the kill relatively cleanly, and there hasn't been a huge amount of options for a counterplay.
Honestly, looking at the two compositions and where the gold is, I'm kind of liking Rogue. Now, Carzzy has gotten a lot of the money, and he's doing very well for himself, but I think team fighting with this Vayne is going to be so difficult. You get outranged by the Azir. There's always going to be Sion, Hecarim, these champions diving into you. And yet, Trymbi gets pulled right back.
Gets pulled back, cannot escape Larssen. Well, by some time, Trymbi survives with his life, and Humanoid commits the flash. Humanoid committed the flash.
Calculated. Easy peasy. Trymbi gets out of there with just 1 HP. Unreal that he literally survives. And now Odo using that push in bot, considering a move back towards mid. But the game has also looked a bit frantic. You know, a lot of moves around. Hasn't been the same level of kills that we saw in game number 2. But still, Rogue do not have the same just natural lane advantages they've had in previous games. And now, Kaiser, what's he trying to do? He gets a flash. There was no one.
Flash. Here comes Armut. Here comes Armut. The World Ender's out, and Emperor's Divide. Flash over from Armut. Double chains won't pull Larssen back just yet, but here comes the unstoppable onslaught. Trymbi is in time to watch Larssen die. What can Odo do in reply? There's no damage just yet. Finally, Inspired arrives to the fray. Humanoid finally gets his man, Trymbi. Picks him up after bringing his way back to the mid lane, and Odo goes down as well. It's Mad Lions with 2-3 quick kills.
Oh man, I just love the play. Kaiser's going in before anyone is actually there ready to follow up, and yet still convinces Larssen to flash flash into his top laner that's coming in on the flank. Just beautiful stuff from the Mad Lion support. This is looking like 2020 play from the Mad Lions. I'm excited to see the continued improvement here and continued excellence of Kaiser.
I laughed at Kaiser's engaged. I wasn't looking at the minimap to see how quickly Armut is running up. Keep an eye on the minimap. Armut's going to start moving right now, as is Elyoya.
He's so far away, and he's also sacking an entire wave in the bot lane to do this. Now, there's double control wards on the top side of the river, so Larssen's flashing down bot side thinking that will keep him safe. Surely, that's where anyone else would be coming from. And at the end of the day, it was the wrong bet, and Trymbi gets caught again.
Well, he's going to be the next target. This time around, it's Humanoid with the help of Kaiser to pick up the kill, the 7th of the game. Odo's going to be the next target, and Mad Lions are in absolute control of this mid game.
100% kill participation from Kaiser. Playing around bot lane, moving around the map, moving towards mid once again. This time does not continue underneath the turret. Gonna call it off just a little bit. Don't have the Volibear ult to turn off that tower, and yet Mad Lions are taking over the map.
I love the line that you said just a moment ago, 2020 Mad Lions. I think that's right. You're looking at the impact Carzzy is having. You're looking at Kaiser's engages. And now all of a sudden, Inspired jumps forward. He gets the fear onto Carzzy. Carzzy stays alive just a few seconds longer before the KT and Reina one more auto pops him down. Now Kaiser's the next target. This will force the teleport out from, I think, Humanoid. He will arrive in the middle lane.
I see you've seen 2020 Mad Lions, but can I interest you in 2020 Rogue a little bit? I like it there. Honestly, Rogue just continuing to improve on the groundwork they made last year, but now Larssen gets caught. Kaiser's a machine!
He finds another one. The Emperor's Divide will buy enough time for Larssen to escape with his life. Summer and Trymbi stepping forward. Inspired is going to be inside the Dragon Pit, and Larssen commits to this one. They're knocked up, they're dead! They've thrown themselves into the meat grinder. Summer simply cannot burn through that many HP bars, and it's a double kill to Elyoya.
I don't know what Larssen was thinking there, not having the ultimate. Inspired's doing the dragon on the bot side of the map, and 2 players of Rogue will lose their lives once again. Kaiser finding the initiation, finding that moment onto Larssen, and vision control around mid continues to be dominated by Mad Lions. Odo gonna shrug that one off with the unstoppable charge, and yet there's still a Rift Herald that can be taken by the Mad Lions, the common trade for the Drake on the bot side of the map. Wow.
Yeah, really. And look, this is all Kaiser, still 100% kill participation. And he has found every single bird in the game.
Where do you think those wards came from? 2 on the top side. Mad Lions playing very well around their vision and the gaps in it. I mean, Larssen didn't know that Armut was sitting inside the blue buff, I don't think. Poor guy goes into his certain demise. Carzzy wasn't even in the fight. And it's a double kill for Elyoya.
And just a few minutes ago, I was asking where you felt the gold or the game state kind of favored. Well, throw that out the window completely right now. 8 out of 9 kills Elyoya has been involved in. 9 out of 9 for Kaiser. Kaiser is finding engage after engage after engage with that Hex Flash. He's got himself the Chem Tank.
I mean, how long has that ward been there? The entire game?
And I also think if you go all the way back to the early game, go all the way back to how Rogue traditionally have garnered control during the course of Spring, they get an advantage in the early laning phase. It's traditionally not through kills, it's through pushing lanes, using vision. And the first time Rogue invaded the blue buff, they got dunked on. And Mad Lions have been able to capitalize on that as now we see a small standoff in the river, and Kaiser's going to back away. He was once again on a warding mission. See what Elyoya does. Takes a little bit of damage. I'm looking at the minimap there. I think those 2 wards that were just placed from Mad Lions were from Kaiser's most recent invade. And at 20 minutes in, Rogue are now pushing on this mid-outer turret.
Yeah, Mad Lions bot lane took a reset there. Phantom Dancer finished off for Carzzy, and the Orianna wave clear is enough to deny the tower. Once again, Inspired back for another buff invade. Mad Lions will be giving that one up. And I mean, it's been a game where both junglers have been super effective as well. If you look at it, 8 out of the 9 kills there for Elyoya has been consistently diving the bot lane. Inspired got involved top lane, bot lane, pretty much everywhere. And yet as a team, it feels like the Mad Lions are stronger currently with how Kaiser's been moving around the map. Inspired has been a little bit more isolated from his support, it feels like. Hasn't been making those moves with his team just when he's seen them. Now watch Kaiser's positioning over and around this mid lane turret. Hansama's walking close, but there's no immediate follow-up from Mad Lions, so Kaiser won't pull the trigger just yet.
No, he won't, but he can now. He can now, and he does. That's a knock-up onto Hansama. The knock back comes out from Inspired. 4 members of Mad Lions corralling Inspired into the jungle, and he's using the ultimate to escape the shockwave. While that's going on, the Rift Tail's pushing mid.
I think Mad Lions might want to go to the Baron here. I think this is a great call. You know Inspired is going to have to go back to base. Mad Lions feel strong. They don't have an Orianna ult, but they're inviting Rogue into them. Mad Lions feel good, and they want the 5v5.
Inspired's going to be here so late to the party. Odo can go in and buy some time, but Kaiser is on the back end. Hans Summer still has flash, and he's not with his team just yet. Baron is so low. 3,800 HP, and Mad Lions start to back away. The Unstoppable Onslaught is not just yet used. It's not available. It's on cooldown from Inspired.
Oh, Kaiser!
Fantastic engage from Kaiser. Gets a 3-man knockup. Armut picks up the first of the fight, and Hans Summer hasn't even fired a single auto attack. Odo uses the ultimate to retreat, and Mad Lions go back to the
Kaiser with the 3-man knockup. Originally he was looking for the flank, got spotted out, moved around, still found his moment in the fight. Inspired didn't have an ultimate. Now, Rogue do not have a jungler. This Baron is getting low.
Hans Summer was trying to find some sort of flank opportunity and did not get a single auto off that fight. Humanoid's got TP available, no shockwave, and he's going to finish the recall.
Yeah, he wants to come in on the TP down to 3k HP. Kaiser, what can you do? It's Elyoya!
Oh, it's another fantastic engage from Mad Lions, but it's Elyoya that's going low. They can't find the kill just yet. The shockwave finally takes down Hans Summer. 1, 2, 3 Rogue members fall quickly, and the zombie of Odo pops as Mad Lions turn to the Baron.
The flanking Orianna Humanoid comes in and destroys Hans on the back end of the fight. Mad Lions are looking so good, but Inspired is back. Inspired has an ultimate. Inspired has smite. Can he get it? No. Kaiser denies him. He won't go for the smite.
Inspired not going to use the ultimate just yet. Needs to use the devastating charge. He actually goes onto Kaiser, gets a multi-fear, manages to pick up at least 1 kill and remove 1 of those Barons before donating yet another kill to Elyoya. Mad Lions stamp authoritative control on this game.
It is complete chaos on the Rift, and it is Kaiser leading the charge for the Mad Lions. Look at him at the start. He's on the side. He gets zoned out from the fight, but he's about to land a picture-perfect 3-man knockup, punching Inspired away from his carry, then into his combination. Beautiful stuff from the Mad Lions support, followed up greatly by his team.
Any questions or concerns about the Mad Lions players performing on stage can be answered and put to bed right now. After the first game and seeing how Rogue controlled and dominated, Mad Lions have bounced back, and Kaiser in particular has been huge in this game, while Elyoya's Volibear has had impact in games 2 and 3.
Yeah, and the call there from Humanoid as well, saying I'm going to TP behind them after the reset. He has his ultimate again, ready to go. Mad Lions looking to go to game point, to match point here against Rogue with a victory when everyone had Rogue pegged as the favorites, finishing tied with G2 in the regular season. And when you look at the trajectory of these two teams, last year in Spring Split, it was Mad Lions that surprised as the new team. They beat G2 in that first best of 5, but summer, it was all Rogue, finishing first in the regular season. And now the question is, who's going to be the team, these two teams that were brought up together, who will jump forward first?
And it's very exciting to me to see these two organizations that, again, continue to develop, continue to improve, 3 splits in a row, adding their names into the discussion with Fnatic, with G2, and Mad Lions answering a lot of doubters today with this performance. Now, they still need to close out the series, they need to close out this game, and during the draft, we were talking about how slightly more challenging the Mad Lions draft could be to team fight. Well, you don't care if you're AK called up with Baron, you can just play the side lanes.
Look, it should be hard to team fight with Vayne versus this compo, and Kaiser is just stopping everyone and saying, you're right here, just auto them. Oh my god, Kaiser is making games so easy for Carzzy.
What I really like as well is with Odo being chunked out by Humanoid, that's one of the primary initiation tools. That's one of the primary zoning tools that Rogue cannot use to push Mad Lions back. Mad will finally split up. They haven't broken up the base just yet. Larssen and Inspired throwing a lot at Elyoya, and he's going to escape through the river. While that's going on, Mad Lions inside the base.
That's one big bear. You're not going to kill that. Mad Lions crack the bot lane tower. They've got the inhibitor as well, and Rogue are sprinting over towards this bot side. Can they find the fight before Elyoya gets there?
Empress Divide is still available for Larssen, but there's no ulti for Inspired's Hecarim, and Armut steps all the way forward. Inhibitor is taken down, and now Mad Lions with this Rebel Bound Pound play pushing into the mid lane.
Because Rogue don't pull the trigger, they are going to lose this mid lane. Now the Baron is about to go away, but I think they've got the buffer just long enough. They've got this tower. Rogue, what they're gonna do?
Well, Kaiser's made the initiation.
Whoa!
He's slowed it up. Hans Summer's on the backside, but he's gonna get popped and focused down. He gets 1 kill before taking out himself. Kaiser is zoning away Larssen. The Emperor's Divide does nothing to stop the Mad Lions, and the pack have found their prey. Rogue have 2 members left standing, and Mad Lions waiting for the minions to push forward. No Baron empowered minions this time round, but they may have just enough to finish it off.
Game 1 was Larssen, Game 2 was Carzzy, Game 3 is Kaiser. The man is on a mission to destroy Rogue, and Mad Lions aren't going to stop.
Yeah, the Shockwave once again finds Inspire, takes him down. Elyoya, 5-0-10 out of his team's 19 kills. 15 kill involvement for Kaiser. And while I was super hyped about the 2 carries, you cannot have carries shining like stars, like diamonds, unless they are propped up by the support. And it has been Elyoya this game absolutely propelling his team forwards.
Kaiser hits 2 there with his knockup and supports trade positions, but the condemn is so good on Rakan, just off barely from getting that CC against the wall, from getting that kill, but it's still a trade of 80 carries. Then you have to ask, well, is that even worth it? Because Larssen goes in, doesn't even really get his ultimate off in the backline, does not have the same firepower as the rest of Mad.
And what if a fear could have come down from the Onslaught of Shadows to buy just a second or 2 longer for Hansama? A second or 2 longer for the Emperor's Divide. But ultimately, Rogue in a desperate position were chasing Elyoya through their own jungle, committed that ultimate, and it wasn't available for the base defense. 11,000 gold lead. Dragons have been, relatively speaking, insignificant throughout the course of this series. Not a high focus from either team. But those Rift Heralds and the side lanes, every time one team is pushing top or bottom lane, the opponent is doing the opposite.
And I mean, we've been getting super early Barons too. That's why the game is blowing up. Inspired wants to fight.
Does indeed. Will not be able to really land onto Carzzy, and that was a fantastic shockwave from Humanoid. Carzzy's found one, Elyoya's found another, and Rogue are wrecked. Rogue are ruined. And Rogue are going to be taken down. Elyoya is running all the way forward onto Larssen, unkilled this game. Emperor's Divide will buy a few seconds of time as Carzzy flashes over the wall, condemns Larssen to safety. He's inside the fountain, the last man standing. Unkilled Elyoya, unkilled Humanoid. And Kaiser 2-1 and 17. Mad Lions are 1 win away from a rematch with G2.
Mad Lions showed up in a big way today. I mean, that game, we set it up as like bot lane super important coming in, and Rogue win the 2v2 kill, but then Elyoya is like, no, that doesn't actually matter. I'm coming down bot lane. Then Kaiser takes over the entire map. This team did not care about anything Rogue were going to throw their way. They had something else to say about it.
2 games ago, we went on a really long story about how Elyoya's debut here is so impressive. How for his first split, his first games on stage, he is showing up. This is an incredibly talented jungler on an organization that had success in 2020. They bring in Elyoya, they bring in Armut, and you're seeing this team now starting to step up. They're surprising a lot of people, and also off the back of a second half of spring where some questions started to creep in. Mad Lions just made a statement in that game.
And you look at it like Mad Lions want to explode the early game. Rogue's control has been lost in the chaos that Mad Lions have introduced into the game. And if Rogue are to push this to 5, they must find some way to get back to that stable state in the early.
Either control it or match chaos with chaos and win. Mad Lions have turned the series on its head, and we'll tell you more about the success in just a minute. Give me 5. I want 5. That's all I want.
Still no friends, huh?
Why can't you do something normal?
How did you get past the loading screen? You beat her!
You haven't got what it takes.
Come on!
Systems are overloading. We can't risk another game.
We need to take a break and regroup.
We're starting to lose our mind. Captain, we cannot go back to Elo hell. Last time it took us months to get out of it.
Initiate break protocol.
Hurry up!
Yes! Yes! I did it! We did it! We did it!
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Welcome back to the LEC Spring Playoffs. Mad Lions coming back with a vengeance after losing Game 1 and are now just one win away from taking down Rogue. Of course, it was an interesting game, no doubt, and while we will talk about the draft in a moment, as it was a pretty interesting game overall, I just want to go through the highlight reel. We got a lot of time to analyze the series that's coming up ahead of us, so why don't we just take a moment to appreciate all of the chaos and insanity that was this game, starting with, I think, one of the most crucial plays, if not the most crucial play in the game.
Yes, I think that while there was a lot of action towards the bot side of the map, as we very much expected, this play for me was really where the game broke open. Larssen, unexpectedly overstaying in mid lane and getting caught out. Very uncharacteristic from him to be in a position where he gets caught out, which ultimately leads his team into a very bad fight as they all tried to save him. The same thing happens again in their top side jungle, and a lot of praise needs to go towards Mad Lions for recognizing this opportunity and Kaiser having a great game. But, I mean, this was just such a great engage from Kaiser to catch Larssen out. But basically, the whole game plan in the mid game was just find Larssen, attack him, punish him, and they were constantly snowballing off a lot of these picks and plays.
And I really feel like in this game and the last game as well, this Volibear is just finding so many good engages. Yeah. And especially paired with the Alistar in this game, they're just finding good playmaking opportunities.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and we're going to have to see how they adjust in that final draft. Of course, all of these early game plays did culminate in one final fight. It was pretty massive. We'll see how well our team has managed to highlight it here, because ultimately it feels like Mad Lions to the surprise, I think, of me especially, and I know probably to you guys as well, having predicted the 3-1 for Rogue, have really shown up in this series in a big way, and in this final fight, really just making good on all the earlier advantages that they were able to build up.
I'm honestly just really happy to see that Mad are performing the way that we know that they can. Because one of the biggest criticisms we've always had of Mad is they get early game leads and then they throw them in the mid to late game. But now they're actually showing up big in the team fights. Their carries are popping off and they're really showcasing the strengths that this team is capable of.
And overall, I think just looking at it, I think the big highlight moment for me right now is the bottom lane. Because we've seen Carzzy show up this series. Now we have a game where Kaiser really shows up on this Alistar. Elyoya has been good throughout the entire thing, so it just feels like more and more members are getting like added to this Mad Lions display of dominance as we go through the games. But I think the number one question on all of our minds backstage, as crazy and exciting and chaotic as this game was, is looking forward, what changes? Because Dylan, you were talking about how much was actually shown in this draft that may not immediately stand out to people.
Yeah, so for the side of Rogue this game, they chose to ban the Jinx, which obviously carried and performed really, really well in Game 2. And you saw that in the draft, it was immediately responded with a Senna ban. So Rogue from blue side, at least now knows that likely the only prepared counter, at least, to Senna is most likely the Jinx, which allows them to first pick Hecarim, which I think is a very, very strong power pick, has been first pick in, I think, many games in playoffs so far. So they kind of gain this information going into the rest of the games. On the other hand, for Mad Lions, I think they're doing a really good job of realizing that Orianna is extremely strong in these tank-heavy, bruiser-heavy teamfight games.
So the other thing that I literally just noticed was Twisted Fate has actually slipped through the bans. We know Larssen is a huge Twisted Fate player, and I wonder if now Rogue actually move away from the Azir completely and use Twisted Fate as an answer to the Orianna.
I'm not too sure. Like, Azir is really one of Larssen's biggest comfort picks, and I think he's one of the, if not like the best Azir in Europe. And I think the issue is if you go for a champ like Twisted Fate against so many tanks and bruisers on the enemy team, you really run the risk of just becoming useless mid-late. So maybe if they have some like carry threats, maybe like a Jace or something to really explode the game and use the ports well, it could be good. But if the games look like these ones, I'm not too sure it'll actually be that strong.
Well, I think the biggest thing that we've learned over the course of this series is that Orianna feels uncontested as the best mid lane option. While Larssen certainly had a fantastic Azir game, we saw a fantastic Azir performance from Abadage yesterday as well. These performances are no longer the sit back and team fight with Sand Soldiers. They're usually one explosive, ulti-focused play, and it doesn't feel like Azir is able to compete due to just how flexible the Orianna has been in these mid to late game fights.
I think the matchup is good, and I think Azir versus Orianna can be good and should be good for Rogue, but I think just drafting around it needs to be a little bit better.
I also think that we've clearly seen a very deliberate bot lane focus from Elyoya.
Yeah.
And at what point do you just ban the Volibear away from him? Would you even consider that as a coach?
Absolutely, because Volibear can do things bot lane that no other champ can. He can make these dives happen level 3 and level 6 that a lot of other champions cannot do.
Yep.
And it seems very clear to me that Mad Lions' plan this series is just to dive bot and gank bot and go bot over and over and over again.
Because we've seen, even though Carzzy, like he was getting picked off himself a lot. To be fair, it was difficult against the Rakan, the Hecarim. Every time he was slightly out of position, immediately engaged on getting shut down. But in the team fights later on, he had such a strong front line to be able to play around. And because the enemy bot lane was put so far behind in the early game, opening up Kaiser to roam around and really make use of this Alistar, like, I think that Rogue need to try and break Mad Lions' game plan. And if they can do that, because in game 1, what we remember is Elyoya was kind of dragged across the entire board. He was ganking top, he was trying to gank mid, he tried a couple ganks bot, but it didn't really pan out. And while the bot lane still got ahead, it wasn't to the same degree compared to what we saw before. So I wonder if Rogue have this idea now of, let's actually just either stop Elyoya, maybe we try and play heavily through bot side instead, because right now Mad Lions have a clear game plan and it is working out for them.
It is working very well. So as a final question, just quick hits from both of you. Changing predictions, Trevor lets people do it, I don't. 3-1, you guys are stuck with that, you have to live with it. But my question now is, do you think that Mad Lions are the favorite to win the series after what you've seen in these last few games, starting with you, Dylan?
I would always give the team that's up 2-1 in the series the advantage because it shows that they're playing better and probably have a better plan of the day. But I do think we'll probably go to Game 5.
I think that we will be going to a Game 5 as well. I think Rogue will bounce back with a strong plan, but I expected this series to be our closest of the weekend. I'm glad that it is delivering. Mad showcasing that they can finally get their revenge on Rogue and move past them in the playoffs.
I love to see it. Nothing I love more than 5 games. Of course, Mad Lions are just one win away from a showdown with G2 as they return to the stage for match point after the break.